This is The Second Studio, hosted by two architects, myself, David Lee, and Marina Bordeaux-Renee. This week is the two of us in the studio. You're eating again during the recording. It's so unprofessional.
Yeah, but you can cut my mic off, right?
If you were,
You always choose a recording time when it's food time, so that's your own fault.
No, you were like, oh, let's have lunch before, so we don't have to eat on the show.
Didn't really
or whatever.
No, I haven't. No, so I'm not hungry on the show. Yeah, but I didn't have much lunch, actually. So
what'd you have?
Leftover chicken nuggets and mac and cheese that my kid would not want to eat, so it was not the greatest.
That sounds pretty amazing. Chicken nuggets and mac and cheese for lunch? Oh, what? What a great day that is.
Yeah.
But are you seriously going to eat grapes throughout the entire recording? What is this?
No, I only have
if you were talent, you'd be fired. The director would be like, hey, you're eating on set?
Delicious grapes, seedless.
Okay. I don't know. Whatever I said after hours, blah, 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 sponsors. The Second Studio is brought to you by Chaos. They make award-winning design and visualization tools, and they're really pushing the boundaries with AI. As we all know, AI is shaking up the architecture and design world, and Chaos is taking a responsible approach. Their tools are built to help architects, designers, and visualization specialists work faster and explore more ideas without replacing creativity. Basically, Chaos wants AI to make your imagination stronger and not take over, so you get to design with more freedom, create stunning visuals, and stay in control of your work. If you want to see what that looks like, tap the Chaos link in our show notes.
Stop juggling multiple pieces of software and struggling with design-unfriendly spreadsheets. Programma, built by designers for designers, provides an integrated suite of tools for every phase of your project, from mood boards to advanced specification tools, procurement tracking to project management. Seamlessly integrated, easily shareable, and always current, Programma reduces redundancy and minimizes costly error. Join interior design movers and shakers by starting for free at programma.design/secondstudio. Experience the difference with Programma, software built for interior design workflows. Architects, design leaders, founders redefining the industry. If you want to shape not only buildings but the businesses behind them, this is your moment. Future London Academy's Executive MBA takes you inside the boardrooms of Pentagram, Uber, Zaha Hadid Architects, and Google, where you will master finance, strategy, and operations from the people who already excel at them. Study alongside peers, transforming the industry worldwide, and do it all in just 9 intensive weeks over 1 year between London and California. Award-winning, transformative, crafted for design and architecture leaders with 15-plus years of experience. If you're ready to grow your impact, apply now by tapping the Future London Academy link in our show notes.
This is The Second Studio with the two of us. Here we go.
The two of us and my grapes.
Yeah, your grapes. Not a huge fan of grapes, to be honest.
Oh, what a downer. Are you a fan of anything that's good for you?
Well, grapes are just basically sugar bombs.
Oh my God, every fruit is like sugar bombs. Meanwhile, you eat the most sugary, unhealthy candy and stuff. And it's
I don't eat candy.
It's like, yeah, you eat like sweet stuff. Like you just stuff your face with like disgusting cereals and covered in cinnamon and sugar. Meanwhile, having an apple, it's like, oh, so unhealthy. It's like, come on.
What are you talking about? Cinnamon and sugar cereal?
Disgusting.
No, I haven't had that in like a year.
You ate those like really stinky Stranger Things cereal thing that smelled like brown sugar like 2 miles away from the bowl.
Well, I didn't buy that. It was a gift. So I got to eat it.
You have to eat them.
Well, what was I going to do with it?
Just, I don't know, collect them, save them, resell them on eBay.
Well, I was curious to see what it would be like, and it was probably the most pungent cereal I've ever had.
It's like I knew
you
when
could
you
smell
had
it
some.
from the other room. It's kind of weird. I don't know how they did that.
Wow.
No, I don't eat candy. That's
yeah,
making
you
it sound
eat
like
things
I eat
that
candy.
are just like
no, yeah.
When you eat sweets, sometimes it's like no.
Like what?
No. I don't know. You eat Peeps.
No, I don't eat Peeps.
Yeah, you do eat Peeps.
You make it sound like you eat Peeps like it's like casual snack. Like every day at 2 p.m. It's Peep time. We have some Peeps.
Imagine. I'm sure there's people who do that. Maybe.
Like I have an office file drawer full of Peeps.
Yeah.
No. Last time I had people, it was I don't even know.
I kind of like the idea of having like a constant supply of something.
Me too.
And handy. And it's set up in a way that looks neat. You know, like, a drawer full of Peeps.
All perfectly in a row.
Yeah,
like the
there
drawers.
There is never one pack missing. It's always, it refills itself, you know. Like,
and the drawer is this exact dimension to fit like 3 columns of Peeps.
Yeah. That sounds pretty satisfying.
In the same way, you know, when you watch TV shows and they have an action movie and they always go to like a back room and they open up a closet and there's guns. And there's like perfectly lined up magazines of rounds.
The fingerprints on the door.
And like all the guns are perfectly mounted.
Yeah.
That is so satisfying. Or like when there's a sniper and they open up their briefcase, their case, and it's like a foam lining and all the pieces fit perfectly. You're like, oh, yes, this is going to be an awesome kill. I don't know what it is about that.
I've always wanted one of those, you know, briefcase. Not for guns, just to have like foam in it.
I had one when I was a kid, and it was a hard plastic thing. It was probably a lot smaller than I remember. Similar to your egg from Easter.
Oh yeah.
You had told me it was a foot long.
Well, in my
egg.
Child memory, it looked big. In my adult,
Wait, so how big do you think it actually was? And now that
I showed you the picture. I mean, I don't know, maybe 8 inches.
That's still pretty. Okay, no, that's not. That's whatever.
Oh.
It's still pretty good size. But I had a briefcase that had like hard foam that was like glued inside of it, and I think it was a protective case for, I think, camera equipment. I have no idea why we had this. There wasn't any equipment in there. It was just a case. And as a kid, it was fun to make believe, but I didn't have anything that fit the cutouts exactly, so it wasn't as satisfying. I used that briefcase when I ran away from home.
Oh.
I filled it with Peeps. I was unfortunate. I had to remove the foam liner because, as you can imagine,
there's not much you could
put in there. So I had to remove that, and it was like the foam tore, and there's a glue remnants and stuff. It was not very very satisfying.
My dad always had like electronic components at home because that's the field he was in, and he always was making stuff. So there's always like boxes of screws and bolts and washers and stuff like that. And he had bought this little container case, like with dividers to like organize like washers and screws, and like keep it. It was like maybe like 4 by 8, bright orange with a clear lid.
4 by 8, 4 inches by 8 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 4 foot.
Like, wow.
Wow, that's a lot of bolts.
Is he a salesman for bolts and nuts?
And so he had, bought that to try and organize his stuff, in the garage. And for some reason, like, it didn't work or like he didn't like it. So he gave it to me. And that was like Christmas presents in like the middle of the year. I was like, wow, I'm getting my, like toolbox, my mini toolbox. What am I going to put in it? And I think I kept it empty for a long time because I was like, I need to be very serious about what I'm going to put in it. And I couldn't decide. And eventually, I think I was doing a lot of like bead stuff, so I ended up like putting beads in it, and I was so thrilled. And then one day, he got me a little, like the kind of like the toolbox, but more like for kids for like arts and crafts that open. Yeah. You have like drawers that unfold and stuff. Oh my god, that was like the dream. But he had one that was, like more like dark blue and red, like again more for like
French
handyman.
Okay.
No. More for like, handiwork, tools and stuff. And I always preferred that one over the one I had. Right. Mine was...
Was yours plastic?
Mine was plastic. There was no clear lids or anything. It was like a light blue, which was nice. But there wasn't as many compartments as the one he had. And I was like, no, I want as many compartments, as many little like, boxes and things to adjust. Yeah. And then my sister was a hairdresser, and she had this metallic box that wouldn't fold like that, more like a square, like the kind of like the music instrument travel case sometimes you see for like, I don't know, rock bands or whatever. They have like the bright aluminum looking thing that has kind of like a 3-dimensional pattern on it.
Sure.
With like black handle and like big hinges. And so she had a case like that where she would keep like, all the rolls, to do hair and like the bands, like all the stuff.
Yeah.
And at some point in her career, like she got a new one and she gave it to me, and oh my god, that one was so cool because there was grooves inside with little like dividers that you could like place as you wanted. Yeah. And they were like really well designed. I loved that thing for a very long time.
Oh, so you had 2.
Well, eventually the other one looked too much like a kid box. And
the light blue one?
Yeah, I was like, I need something else,
I was going to say, did you have a box like that for architecture school or art school or whatever?
That is a good question. I don't think so, because I would do all my work at home, in my apartment. So all of my stuff was just there. I don't think I ever really had to like have a toolbox to carry my stuff with me.
Oh, interesting.
So no, I don't think I did.
I know the types of boxes that you're describing. I think I had one probably when I must have been before college, and I know I had one during college, because as first years you had to have a little box. And, we were doing stuff by hand, so you'd have your lead holders, your lead, your eraser shield, your drafting dots, your drafting, it's like a little pouch with like powder on it, so that your parallel bar could slide easier. All that kind of stuff was carried in this box.
Sounds like you studied architecture in the 1800s.
I know, it's weird, because it's like, I think about all those tools, and like that just doesn't, like an eraser shield. I'm sure in a young architect will go, what the fuck is an eraser shield? An eraser shield is a thin piece of metal. It's like a flop. It's like a credit card size almost, but it's really, really, really thin. It has a bunch of different cutouts in it. Like there's a linear cutout, a circle cutout, an arc cutout, like a bunch of cutouts. And you would put that down, over your drawing, your pencil drawing, and you would use an eraser so you could erase like specific segments away from the drawing.
Did that work well?
Huh?
Did that work well?
I thought you said, did you have a quill? like a feather. Yeah, it worked tremendously. And then there's an electric eraser, which is like really, really good. But then
electric eraser, wow.
Did you know the electric eraser is awesome?
No.
Okay, so there's like battery ones, like cheap battery ones you could get, which were like good for quick small stuff. But then the serious one is a plug-in electric eraser, and you plug it into to the wall, and basically it's like a lead holder in that instead of being a stick of lead, it's a stick of eraser. So it's this floppy stick you put in there, and it has like a collet, like a thing that you slide to make it snug, and then you push down a button and it spins really, really fast, and you erase that way. Phenomenal. The thing is, like, your eraser stick needs to be fresh, because if it's old, you basically just burn into the drawing and leave it like an eraser indent and like rubber smudge or whatever. And you couldn't do it too much, because then it makes the paper shine. There's all this stuff. I mean, I really enjoyed all that stuff. I kind of miss it. It's like a tactile,
Man, I wish I had an electric eraser when I was
so
student.
Cool. I had two. I had the big one, and then I had a really small one that had like the big one. The diameter of the eraser stick is maybe like 3/8 of an inch, like that. Maybe it's like whatever, something like that. And the small one, the diameter was like maybe a little more of an eighth. You could just
yeah, you see, we didn't have any of that in France. I've never heard of that. So we just had like the stupid eraser, and you erase like a bunch of stuff. So you had to be very careful.
And we had like a little what was it? I don't forget what it's called, but like this sticky, malleable. It's like clay.
Oh,
but
yeah, gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called. It's what is the part of the bread that's like the soft part?
Oh, that I don't know.
What's the word in English?
I don't know.
Like if you take a slice of a loaf of bread.
I know. I just know the edges.
Well, in France you call it that.
Oh,
it's called
okay.
mid pain. Mid pain is the inside of the bread, and the croûte is the crust.
Okay.
And so that was called the mid pain. It would come in a box. It started super clean, and then it just ended up really disgusting. And when you think about it, like, that's pretty gross. It just catches shit.
Yeah.
And then it also catches whatever is in your bag and whatever else, and your hands, and it's like
clean box.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we had
but that was pretty cool, because you could stretch it. You could kind of like use it in different ways.
Yeah.
Like just slightly, or like a lot more, which was pretty cool. And I discovered that in art school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, no one told us about that in architecture school. I knew it from then, but...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we... like the path that I took, we had all that stuff. We had scales. We had... what else did we have in that box? There must have been more stuff. Glue. But drafting-wise, there's actually not a... I mean, there's triangles and things, but those didn't fit in the box. Drafting-wise, there's not a whole lot more, really. You just have your drafting board. And
did you use like the micron pens, or did you use like the rotary?
Rapidograph. Yeah, so we actually... we used both. The rapidographs were used in a couple studios, and it's, a pretty archaic thing, but if you're serious, which, we weren't really, but if you're serious about producing a really crisp, nice hand drawing that's done by ink, then you use a rapidograph and you do it on Mylar. Microns on like Mylar, which I don't even know, I think they would smear, or on vellum, is like, like a half measure toward that. But I don't know. I don't know how purposeful all that stuff was, but I remember the first time I got a rapidograph, I fucked it up because I tried to like pull out the little needle thing in the middle, which you can't do because then it screws up the pen.
I'm trying to, how do you spell rapidograph?
Rapidograph, I believe. It's not a pen. It's a pen, but it's an actual, device that has fluid ink in it. And there's a little metal tip.
Yeah, it's the same, yeah. The brand that I had was a Rotring.
Yeah, Rotring. That's the brand. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the rapidograph is a generic term for.
But the cool thing with that is like you could fill up with your own ink.
Yeah.
So you can use different color ink. You can
it's a whole deal.
It's cheaper because you just buy the ink. You already have the tool. Mm. Actually, I think I got the Rotring from my dad, which I don't know why he had that or where he got that.
I mean, not too long ago, that's how everyone did drawings. It was like, that's what you use.
Yeah, but it's not like he ever did drawings.
I don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if your dad hadn't had that, though.
He had like the equivalent of like the building code from years ago. The Neufert is like a big book in France. And when I said I was going to start architecture, he put up that book and I'm like,
why do you have this?
Why do you have that? He's like, oh yeah, maybe you find that useful. And there's a lot of like standard of like drawings and things. And I was like, why would you have that? So who knows?
I miss it though. It's fun.
I do like the ink. It's something fascinating. Like we used to do live drawing with ink.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
that's cool.
It gets pretty messy, but it's pretty cool. Like the way you kind of like play with it and like interact. It's very different from paint and it's very different from lead.
Ink with a rapidograph?
No, with brushes.
Ooh.
No.
Yeah, that sounds very messy.
I mean, you could also do rapidograph depending on like the type of drawings you were doing.
Yeah, sure.
But I know brushes.
Yeah, that sounds super
Which
messy.
was really cool because you could see the movement of the brush. It's just kind of like one swoop and you get a lot. Like you see like the 3 bristles that just kind of like stick on the side because your brush was fucked up when you used it. Or, there is a lot more to it than when it's, paint. Also the fact that there was no color, it was just black, was very interesting.
I wonder if it's as satisfying to use like a stylus than an Apple Pencil. It can't feel the same.
No, I don't know. I mean, even the sound of the brush on the paper,
right?
like you can't, like the tablet doesn't give you that.
Well, the tablet is a convenience, so you can like copy, paste, erase, do layers.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty awesome what you could do with the tablet, but it doesn't replace the feeling.
I like the simplicity of having a thing that you're working on. And you work it and you work it and you work it. And maybe you put on another layer of vellum or trace and you work it. It's like a very simple space to be in. It's not like you're always like flying between windows and apps and then this mode and that mode and then Photoshop and then this rendering program and that rendering program and then format it. You just like, this is the drawing in front of it. That's the only thing you're working on is just this drawing. That's it. It's just you, the drawing, and that's it. I feel like it's a much more meditative, like less stressful way of working, I feel like. I think it's stressful regardless of what you use, but like less, I don't know. Yeah, less stressful. But yeah, we had a little art box. So everyone was carrying around these art boxes. The thing that always bothered me was I never had enough things to fill the main container. Because again, as for drafting purposes, like there's nothing to put in there. So I would put in like random tools just to fill it up,
hammer,
like pliers and stuff. I don't know if it's like considered OCD or like what, but the little dividing tabs that you're mentioning, I had those too. It always really bothered me because that meant for the slots that were not being used, they would stick out and be part of the container space. You know what I mean? And I hated that. And they're always kind of sharp. And they'd always have extra dividers. You're like, what do you do with those? You can't put them outside of the container because that's like perverse. You put them in the container. Well, now you're just carrying around Tabs for what purpose? And then, sometimes you have you make a little container within the container, but it's not quite the right size.
That's the annoying part when you have specific things you need to fit in your box, and it just never fits in anything.
Stuff like that really fucking bothers me. Yeah. That's why I at some point in my life learned I have to just not look that direction. Because if I look that direction, I will seriously go down this weird rabbit hole where all I do is fuss with that. And that's my life now, is trying to fix these tabs. Huh?
I wouldn't do that. I just give up, buy another box, or don't use the box.
Yeah, well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. As a normal person, that makes sense. Yeah. But in my mind...
I'm never buying you a toolbox.
I think actually at one point I made a decision. I'm like, okay, this divider goes here. This is where it goes. And these other, little slots that are in my container that I've made that I don't need, I'm going to use my pliers and cut them off. I'm going to sand it down. It was not as easy as it
You really had some extra time as a student.
I did not have extra time. This is why I never met any of my deadlines. I was busy doing stuff like this. Things like this just drove...
David, what did you do the weekend? I was fixing that freaking toolbox.
Yeah, perfectionist weird shit. I really dove deep into that space.
Okay, well, I think that deserves a therapy session of sorts.
Probably.
There's a lot to unpack there, probably.
And then after a while, those plastic art boxes would smell funny. Especially if you kept metal tools in them. I don't know if anyone else knows what I'm talking about, but they get real funky smelling. And there's not much you can do about it.
Then there's glue that leaked everywhere and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You didn't close your pen and the ink, the bleeding all over. And yeah. And then when no one wants to use that box, so you have to toss it.
Yeah, the one I had too was plastic, but it was a really soft plastic. So when you had the fold out trays... they had maybe 2 or 3 levels of trays that would come out, and they would stack, kind of diagonally upward. The upper 2 would sag. That always fucking bothered me so much. Or they weren't parallel to the floor. To the desk. They'd sag. It fucking drove me nuts. I'm like, God damn it.
You try to reinforce it?
They'd use the same bendy plastic for the hinges. They shouldn't have done that. And it just drove me nuts.
That's it.
Drive me nuts. But the latch on the outside did close very well. That was very satisfying.
A good latch makes a big difference,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you open those trays, you don't want to be like this flaccid penis tray that opens out and you put it back and you have to kind of wiggle it because it doesn't go back in. You know what I mean? You want it to snap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might still have that box somewhere. I might have to.
Is it the black one?
I think that might be the one.
You gave it to me.
Yeah. Flaccid trays.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. Because every time I open it, I also get frustrated.
It's annoying, right?
I'm like, this is not...
And when you want to close it back up, you have to do extra...
You have to help it.
No.
Yep.
Not good. Nothing like those gun closets in John Wick. That's what I want.
Or the tool drawers. Oh, what's that brand? That makes the metal... No...
Snap-on? There's a bunch of brands, to be honest.
No, the one that makes the metal cabinets, you found
There's
in garages. And they have
Craftsman, Snap-on, those are 2 popular ones in the United States.
I'm thinking of another one.
Brioche, the French brand.
It smells like brioche when you open the drawer. Imagine, that would be cool. I always love these.
Yeah, those...
I would use those for my kitchen. I would use those for not just... I feel like honestly, it's kind of a waste to be in the garage. I feel like they're beautiful pieces.
In the garage
I'm like, why would you keep that in the garage? Yeah. It's a waste. You don't see it.
Yeah.
I want to use those drawers every freaking day. There is something satisfying about how it rolls when you push it, Well,
the nice ones are so smooth and everything's enamel coated or whatever.
Yeah. One of my office in New York ordered some of those to store the material samples.
Oh, really?
Because we had, boxes and bins and shelves full of material samples. I was just kind of floating all over the office. And one of the partners was like, okay, you know what? We're going to get those 2 giant drawer units, big, deep, heavy duty drawers. So we can put all of the stone samples could be laid out. Everything is just easy. You open and you could look at it. And I was like, it's a great idea.
But they're not transparent.
Do not transparent.
Most material closets have like more like translucent, transparent storage.
Oh
methods.
no, but you open the drawer and the drawer acts as a tray, so everything is laid flat.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, well that works well.
Yeah.
But it was actually not enough because we have just so much of it, But it was pretty cool because you could see everything at once, and the feeling of opening those drawers was like, and the sound when you close it, the click click, that the metal makes, like it was like
super satisfying.
Like that. Yeah.
I remember my grandfather's garage, which I never went into as a kid, but there's maybe 1 or 2 instances where I was in the garage at his workbench. And he had drawers, metal drawers or whatever, but they were the old ones, not high tech. Meaning it's the and the one I'm thinking of was like one that sits on the workbench is small for like nuts and bolts. I mean that one is literally just a frame with boxes. Mm-hmm. There's no bearings, no nothing. Yeah. I did not care for that experience. I was like, oh, this feels icky. My grandpa was like, what? Like, it doesn't feel good to open the drawer. He's like, okay.
Judging his box.
Yeah, I want ball bearings and a nail. He's like, okay. He's like, I was in the war. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, your drawer doesn't feel good. It's rusted. It is crazy, though. This is kind of random, but I saw, I think, a Reddit post, and they posed the questions. It was like, if you had 1,000 people with you, and all 1,000 of you were transplanted back in time to like the Stone Age, how long would it? It's a dumb question, but how long would it take you to get to a point where you could to like the first industrial revolution, or not the industrial revolution, but like get to a point where you're making, certain things, and when you think about it, it's kind of crazy. Like everything we interact with is so high tech. Like a ball bearing. Like, how do you make a ball bearing? You got to make the equipment to make it. How do you make the equipment? I mean, it boggles my mind, honestly.
But that's interesting things with a lot of people who, make stuff or invent stuff, is that a lot of them, if they're really into their stuff, they actually end up designing the machine that makes the thing they want to make.
Yeah.
And that's like next level.
But you kind of have to.
Genius. Of course you have to, but it's crazy. It's not like you're making the final product. You're making the thing which is going to make the final product. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, the ability to think, like reverse engineering, mm-hmm. The object to understand how the machine should operate to make what you want is fascinating.
It's fun stuff. I sometimes wonder, this goes to show my lack of understanding of scale with the world, but like, where is all this equipment
coming from
that makes this stuff? I mean, everything we interact with is manufactured. There's a facility and a plant and a manufacturing plant for everything around us. Like, where the fuck are all these plants? They're in China, is the answer. Just out in the yonder in China, there's just cities and cities and cities and acres of just manufacturing plants.
But talking about machines and whatever, that's a good transition to the humanoid robot you mentioned to me briefly.
Yeah, have you seen it? You've seen a picture of it?
I probably did. Yeah, I think I probably did.
So the robot that I'm thinking of, and there's a handful of
them. Someone knows how to dance well.
No. There's the home assistant robot space is going to be huge, I think sooner than later.
I mean, it makes sense, and it's almost like, how come it's not already here? Like the microwave got into people's homes like how many years ago?
But a microwave, what are you talking about, man?
Well, I'm talking about the day-to-day life improvement.
I know, right? but the microwave versus a robot that walks around and folds clothes is like they're not even close to the same level of technology.
Oh, I know, but how many years has it been? Someone must have been working on that.
Well, if you go back to my example, it's been 1,000 people. What the fuck you been doing, 1,000 people? You've had centuries. So there's so the one I'm thinking of is Neo. That's the name of it. It's by a company called 1X, like the number 1X. And then there's obviously Optimus, which is done by Tesla. And there's probably a couple others too. And then there's a whole range of other humanoid-ish robots that are more for like grunt work, like
construction work?
I don't know,
Like
maybe, but like my point is that with Neo and Optimus, these are like fine motor skill, robots that are meant to be helpful.
They can
like,
lift a
around the
pinky when
houses.
they grab a mug.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. But didn't you see the Tesla one at the diner in LA?
I did briefly. It was serving popcorn. Yeah. Oh. But it's just really hard to...
But was it just kind of like moving around like a robot, or was it like smooth? Like
between the two, I would say. It was definitely not human-like, and it was not like super stiff. It was moving in the most optimal, way to do its task, which therefore doesn't look like a human. Like humans are very strange when they move. They do all kinds of weird stuff. The robots are going to be very linear about what they do, I think.
It's pretty weird if you think about it. Like we see a lot of Waymo here in LA, right?
LA, San Francisco.
And you kind of learn to pay attention to them, but also not pay attention to them. And it's almost like you just kind of like get used to have them around.
I don't have a problem with them.
No, I don't. But then when I think about it, I'm like, this is crazy, right? There is this thing that's moving by itself.
Yeah. I feel safer when I'm surrounded by Waymos compared to drivers. Like if I'm going to make
but as a passenger, I don't know if I would feel safer in a Waymo.
Oh, inside of the Waymo.
Yeah. Because I feel like my level of, and again, I don't know what you could do as a passenger in there if you can like actually like stop the car, get out, like do whatever. But I don't know. I feel like I would be trapped.
Well, we were watching that show Upload. We didn't finish the last season. Remember in Upload how he dies? Good. He was in a self-driving car.
Oh, yeah.
And it was going down the freeway at like whatever speed, and the car did not recognize there was a stopped vehicle in front of him. He kept saying like override, and it just didn't compute. Yeah. I think the reality with a lot of technology is that it's new, and there's a safety concern factor for like, everybody. And then a decade later, like everybody just like, oh yeah, well, whatever.
I just don't know, like if I'm thinking about like, okay, I would have like one of those robots at home to help me do the chores like that I don't want to be doing, like empty the dishwasher, do the laundry, vacuum, or whatever, the stuff I don't want to spend my time doing. Does it have to look like a human? Like, does it have to have a head? Does it have to have... I mean, I guess you would need a way to move so legs and arms make sense, but do we have to make them in the silhouette of a human? I think that's the thing that disturbs me. It's like chickenless chicken. Like, why? Like, I don't get it. Like, Impossible Burger. Why make it possible, or don't make a burger?
Well,
like,
just big.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't know. We always have this tendency of making things look like something else.
Example, there was an architectural paper written by. This was like 20 or 30 years ago. I think written by Sylvia Lavin. I could be mistaken. The architect history theory nerd will correct me on that. The essence of the paper was posing a question about whether or not a thing, whatever that thing is, should look like the thing we imagine it to be, or look like the original thing, or should it just perform in the way it's supposed to? And her example was dildos. It was like there's dildos that look like a penis, and there's dildos that don't look like a penis. And her point was that the dildos that don't look like a penis perform better. And so what's the point of a dildo that looks like a penis? It also makes me laugh because I'm like, okay, obviously whoever wrote the paper sat down and like, I'm going to use this as an analogy, and it's going to be like a way to, to spice it up and have the paper be more well-known.
But I mean, it's a valid question.
Because like when we're in college, we're like, dildos, penises. But it's kind of the same thing. I don't know.
But that being said, though, if you were doing a robot to have me at home that was headless, would that be disturbing?
Well, my question more is like the forgetting the head component. The overall form is the optimal design of a robot that's going to do household chores, the dishes, the laundry, the vacuuming, tidying
because
up,
things are designed for human ergonomics, right? So it makes sense that the thing that replaces the human will have to function the same way.
I think that's a really, really interesting point. That's a really interesting point.
You're welcome.
Because what you're saying is that we have to create this robot, which is, costs the millions and millions of dollars and of investments and all this, whatever stuff and all this tech, to be a certain shape, not only for the sake of comfort, if you believe that's a part, a positive, but because everything else in the house is designed around humans, which becomes an overlap of, appliances, including like vacuums, let's say, but also like architecture to a degree, and whether or not it should be designed on human ergonomics or robot ergonomics. Because if in the future we have all the robots become cheap enough, so basically all the households have a robot to do these things, why the fuck would we have design all the things we're mentioning around a human shape when it doesn't need to be the case because humans aren't doing it anymore?
Yeah.
That's a weird thought. That's a weird thought.
Yeah, or
you're really... Yeah, go ahead.
Or you could also not, if you think more extreme, you could also not have any robots that could do it all, but the appliances and every single machine does it all in itself.
Well, you still have the... it's kind of like in transportation, they call it... What do they call it? Like the last mile problem or something? Which is to say, like, the transporting of people for 5 miles or 3 miles is easy, but it's the last quarter mile is always difficult. It's the same thing with all these tasks, right? Like,
it's
having
like
the dishwasher run is fine.
Could wash it and dry it and fold it for you, but how does it go from being folded to your drawer?
Yeah, well, you stand there like this, you say, "Robot, undress me," and then it does it for you from there. Yeah, but that's
pulls
probably
out a giant vacuum.
It pulls out
your clothes.
Yeah, that's. But I don't have a problem with the robot-looking humanoid. I think it's okay. So let's forgetting the performance aspect of it, like partition that aside. Just talking about like how it looks for comfort level. I don't know. I don't mind having a humanoid-looking thing. I mean, not superhuman, obviously, not like the ones you see in movies where they look like people. Like the Neo one, for example. You've seen a picture of it? Just look it up real quick. It's I think that's a very reasonably designed thing. It does seem kind of bulkier. But
why do they put eyes on it? That's creepy.
I think those are used as cameras, though.
Yeah, but they just put it as put it behind the fabric or something. Like, why do we have to have them look like they have eyes?
I'm sure they did extensive testing as to what would be creepy and not creepy.
It's creepy to me.
Okay,
it doesn't have a mouth and it doesn't have a nose. It's like, well, I can at least give the guy a full face. That's just...
Okay, well, then as a representative of 1X, I say, well, then don't buy it, you stupid complaining person. Gosh.
Well, I'll buy it and put sunglasses on it.
Sombrero.
Or put a
fake mustache.
Or put a motorcycle helmet on it.
Yeah.
I have Daft Punk clean my house.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool.
But so the Neo one, I think they actually... Well, we might have a different
opinion,
but
dumb.
I think...
I don't really care for it.
God. I think they did a good job.
It kind of looked like a stuffed animal with two little eyes, or a little bit like, I'm a little dumb, I'm a little empty in there.
Well, it's supposed to be...
Yeah, non-threatening, I get it. Like,
yeah, non-threatening. They said also that the idea was...
I guess you don't want it to look like a robot that could kill you.
Yeah, it's supposed to look more like a friendly, soft thing. They said more like a couch rather than like a hard appliance. My first thought, though, in terms of like the knit fabric, is more of like cleaning the thing.
I think I would rather have him look like a hard appliance. It's like, I'm not going to give it a hug. I don't need it to look friendly.
Well, but you bump into it, or like if it's arms or metal and it bends, you get your finger squished like this thing. You look at it like, that's not going to hurt me. It's just a squishy fabric thing. Yeah. Safety is always like one of the biggest concerns with those who are skeptical. I don't know. I thought they did a pretty good job with it. But it's an interesting like design question that they had to solve, which is, their objective is to create something that feels comfortable. And they even talked about like the dimensions or profile of the body, like the shoulders can't be too wide because then it looks too intimidating, and the torso can't be too slim because then it starts to look too sexualized. So they had to make something that looks very Muppet-like.
Oh, sexualized robot, that could be interesting.
So, well, then any sci-fi movie would, answer that.
I mean, but it's an interesting thing, like the whole psychology behind the appearance, just the appearance of the robot is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the humanoid design makes sense. I mean,
maybe they should make it in a way that you can pick the type of eyes, or you can pick, like how hardcore or like soft you want it to look like,
It's probably like a phase 2 or 3 for them. Probably. They just want to get the one and done. But what's also kind of strange about it is it can do really, really basic tasks. I forget what some of the ones they named. Like I think it was like something really basic, like pick that up and put it over there, or open the door. Like really, really basic stuff. But anything complex, like doing dishes, folding laundry, it can't do on its own. So their business model is to, when it comes to a complex task, they have a real human with a VR set on I was going to say, I don't know if they're in the United States, I would guess some other country, but whatever, a human being who then takes over and controls the robot and sees through its eyes to do that task.
Yeah, but you see, that's where shit goes down.
But this is their short-term plan, because the robot needs to be trained. And in order to be trained, it needs to go out in the world and learn stuff. So they're going to use people to puppeteer the thing for complex tasks, and that data gets captured and then eventually becomes, put into the actual brain of the robot, so then later on can do it on its own.
Yeah, but they should do that internally in their lab and whatever as R&D.
But you know how long that would take?
Well, they should have got on it 20 years ago, right?
God, you're just...
I'm just playing devil's advocate. But that's where the, like the creepy sci-fi movie robot killing people thing happens, is like when people start to puppeteer robots and control it to do things that, that they want to do with their human bodies. And that's where stuff goes wrong, I feel.
Well, if you could have one for free now, knowing what I've told you that it's going to function this way for whatever period of time, like remote people, would you have one? And let's imagine, I don't know how well it works, but let's say it does, like through the use of other remote puppeteers and for other tests, like it will vacuum, it will do everything, it will do all the stuff just as well as we do.
Relying on my children to do those things. That is my plan. I think I could squeeze a good 15 years out of them of doing the chores at home.
So you wouldn't be on board with the Neo?
I mean, if it doesn't know how to fold laundry,
I think you'd be pretty disappointed for your birthday.
Oh, yeah, okay. How much does that cost?
$20,000.
Yeah, I mean,
it's actually not bad.
No, but it would have to last how many years to be worth it of just vacuuming,
you could also
laundry,
rent
and
one
then
or
to the
lease one. I
dishwasher.
think it's like $200 or $500 a month. Also not bad.
I mean, it's cheaper than a cleaning lady,
Well,
yeah, you buy it once. You think like you pay the salary every month, you know. But I don't want the friendly looking thing. I think it creeps me out. So I would have to be a different version.
You just dress it up with whatever.
Yeah, I would put a helmet on his head. I would think I would dress him up. I put some wigs
Hawaiian
on
shirt.
it. I would use it as a giant doll.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what people are going to do.
Put baseball hat, give him a name,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobert. Yeah.
Wow, yours is going to look pretty funky. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting.
I have no problem with it.
If it could make me dinner, do all the things that I don't want to spend time on a day-to-day basis, so I could either do more work or spend more time with the ones I want to be spending time with, then yeah, I think that could be great.
Let me ask you this.
Because I think it's also not cool to, hire people to do this kinds of shit for you.
Well, you say that, but
it provides them a job and all of that, but I don't think anyone should be cleaning toilets for a living. Like that's not cool.
Just the way it all works. So those people, that's the job that's accessible to them, and other people don't want to do it. So
yeah, well, maybe there is a way to give them access to a better job.
Yeah, slowly over time. Yeah. I mean, my first thought is this idea of like, especially in California, like the immigration, like, oh, all these people coming from Mexico. It's like, yeah, dude, these people are fucking from Mexico, from Guatemala, from all these places. Like, they work so hard. They're doing jobs no one else wants to do. Like their entire fucking economy is based on these people. You get it, right? Like a third of our the base of the economy requires these folks. Like, what the fuck are you being a dick to them for? Anyway, I wouldn't during the phase of them having people remotely access the eye. Like that's the I don't really care for that. But if it's a fully, what's the word, like severed, like it's all the data. There's no data being sent anywhere. It's just
but
in the
how
robot.
would you know that? There's no way you could truly know that, right?
Well, it just depends on the company. So, like for example, Apple is super interesting because they've said this for many years now, like privacy is one of their leading, qualities and like kind of selling points. So they go through a lot of effort to create, I don't know the tech word, like closed loops, like to cut off stuff so that, no, it is fully just on your phone and then gone, or on your phone to the server to do something and then it's gone. It doesn't get stored. And actually so much so that I saw a thing recently that they have this massive, whatever computer data center, right, where information goes to do like whatever thing, and then immediately gets like eviscerated, and it's open to the public. So like anybody anytime can go there to see if they're doing what they're doing, and if they're wrong, then they pay whatever amount. They're the only company who provides that.
Well, we should go and check, and if they're wrong, pay me whatever.
but they're not. I saw something interesting about like Apple Pay versus like Google Pay. The two are actually very different in terms of on the back end what happens with where your banking information goes. With Apple, it somehow, in both cases, it creates like a specific code for that transaction. I'm probably butchering this, and that code is used to register with the bank or something, and they get approved. And then it goes out there and back in like a millisecond, which is phenomenal. And you do the payment. Apple, the amount of steps is like 2. It goes there and back, and then it's done. It like goes away. Google, it goes through like all these chains of whatever through the family of Google. So when you use like Google Payment, it's far less secure in a way because there's all these points of breach, and also your information is like permanently stored in Google. That's how it functions in this chain of operations. With Apple, it's not actually stored in Apple. It's only on your phone, and then sends out this temporary like code, which then again like is a one-time use thing. So it's certainly possible to have a device, a robot, a phone, or whatever that's more of a closed system. Once it becomes that, then I think it's going to be super popular because so much time is wasted. Like,
well, the price will have to come down. I mean, $20,000 is not accessible to a lot of people. It's
not, but with how much things cost, $20,000 is the equivalent of like $80,000 like 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
$20,000 a decade from now is going to be the equivalent of like $5,000.
Maybe you
today.
buy one amongst 5 neighbors, and like you have it on Monday, I have it on Tuesday.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
And then you only pay $4,000, and that's it.
Yeah. I'd be totally down with it though. I mean, just to handle all the random stuff, or just get an au pair. Well, I guess at that point it's the same thing.
Well, no. Again, the $20,000 you pay once. An au pair, it's like every year.
Okay. Well, yeah. Even more reason to use a robot then. Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm still waiting on teleportation. That is the one thing.
What would that solve for you, though?
So I could go to France anytime I want.
Yeah, that's mainly for food and family, I guess.
Well, that's 2 very valid reasons to do teleportation. Or vacation. I could do a, 5-hour vacation every day.
If teleportation existed, I think the world would be such a shit show. Like, people would be going in and out, like, all over the place. It'd be such a mess.
Oh, it would be such a mess.
Such a mess.
It'd be such a mess, and they probably would make it as, like, you have to buy a plan, and if you want to teleport more than, like, 3 times a month, you have to pay extra, and you can only teleport that far before you're out of range, and then you have to upgrade to premium plan, and it's like, everything just becomes...
And you're like, okay, well, with my plan that I used to have that you guys revised, I can teleport mostly to the Pacific Ocean. They're like, I'm sorry, sir, that's the radius that you're in. That's truly Black Mirror.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm saying the radius has changed again. Okay, well, this is really not helpful. Well, I'm sorry, sir. That's when you made the plan. That's where you're living. So the radius is based on that. That's where you can go. Can I go partway the distance? No, you can only go that distance. It's exactly 10 miles from where you are. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. Robots in general, I'm all for it. Let's go.
And now, a data break for our show sponsors.
Revit users, you have access to a powerful new capability you might not know about. Available with Revit version 2023.1 onward, Autodesk Insight is a next-generation carbon analysis tool that can help you make the leap toward low-carbon design. With only a few clicks, Insight lets you analyze, understand, and track the embodied and operational carbon impact of your design choices. You can then visualize opportunities for energy efficiency and carbon mitigation with its flexible dashboards, helping you make more sustainable and informed decisions. Check out the Insight link in our show notes to learn more. This episode of The Second Studio is brought to you by BQE Core, the all-in-one firm management software built for architects. Designed by architects for architects, Core helps you track time effortlessly, manage projects seamlessly, and get paid faster, so you can focus on design, not spreadsheets. With powerful automation and real-time insights, it's everything you need to run a smarter and more profitable firm. See how BQE Core can transform your practice by clicking the link in our show notes.
So we started watching the new season of Beef, changing topic completely.
Oh, sure.
How?
What episode are we on?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably
You're the
5.
one who controls the remote.
I'm probably like 5 or 6.
No.
No, high, low.
No, too high.
No.
No, too high. Probably episode 4.
No.
Oh, what about episode 6? Are you crazy?
Okay, how much you want to bet?
$10.
Okay. I believe that the next
When
episode
I'm
we're
not
about
sure
to start
if
is
I'm right,
episode
$10
6.
is good. If I know I'm right, $100.
Okay. Okay. No, I think the next episode is going to be episode 6.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe $5.
Scintillating conversation. Okay.
I actually wouldn't mind rewatching the first season because it was really good and I kind of forgot about it.
I think the first season so far is superior to the second season.
But I feel like it's for every show. Like, it's really rare second season's like better than the first one. Like, there's so much in the first one that, you know, you discover and all of that it's hard to
But these are
beat.
completely different stories, so there's no excuse.
I know. But
It's not a sequel.
yeah, but still.
Okay.
I mean, the road rage one in the first story was satisfying just because I feel like that's something that everyone must have lived just a little bit, you know, at some point.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
the first
kind
one
of like if
also
you take
took
it to
place
the extreme.
Didn't it take place in L.A.?
I think
So it was
so.
a bit more relatable. And this one takes place in like, I don't know, also takes place in
Oh,
California.
yeah,
like
yeah,
Ojai, some kind of country club thing,
Yeah,
which is not
yeah.
really, that's not a space I care about at all.
Country club or Ohio?
Country clubs.
Oh, well.
Just weird.
Country clubs, like, you know, golf clubs, beach club, like whatever club. I think I'm kind of an anti-club in general.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, you have to pay money. Oh, you have to be part of the club. Oh, and if you're not...
I don't mind the idea of getting access to certain amenities and experience that's nice, like a vacation, essentially, right? But everything else about the club, I don't like.
Yeah, but I feel like people join clubs just for status.
Yeah.
And that's something I just...
We were in Malibu recently. I like Malibu. And I like a lot of people who are from Malibu and live in Malibu. We know some of them. They're great people. The people we happened to be around, though, this past weekend, didn't get a good vibe from them. Very kind of like
Very snobby.
snooty, snobby, small town, very white population.
It was very white.
It's just like...
It was very white.
It's weird because our living experiences the last, I don't know, 15 or whatever, how many years, has been more like diversity, more urban, of course, mixed. And anytime we go to like a small... Actually, beach towns tend to be quite conservative. The ones that I've experienced.
It's interesting. I
right?
mean, if you think about it.
Not always, of course, but like... I'm trying to think of which ones I'm thinking about now. Well, not Manhattan. Malibu...
I mean, Manhattan Beach feels pretty white too.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I agree with that.
I mean, Venice and Santa Monica, where it's a little bit grungier, so it's a different crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The kind of hoity-toity, like,
I mean, even
short
like,
boat shoes kind of vibe.
I'm blinking. The one up north, Santa Cruz.
I don't have a recent experience there.
I think Santa Cruz is more mixed.
Yeah.
I think it's more mixed. But, yeah, no, I don't know.
But it felt like that. Yeah, when we were in Malibu, kind of like this like club. Everyone's part of this club, and everyone like kind of like dresses a certain way and like talks a certain way, and all their conversations you overhear them. They're like small conversations. They're like about. That's just like I was thinking about it. It's like I feel like in those places, it really matters where you were born. Oh, you were born in this town? I was born in that adjacent town, too. I'm like, you guys are talking about one fucking town. You do realize that, right? They're not different towns. It's one town. Like, it's just such a small area. Like, why is it a big deal? You're in one place. Of course you were born near each other. It's one place. I was here my whole life. Oh, my grandpa was here, too. Like, Jesus Christ. Who cares, man? This is so different from, like, when you live in a more urban or big city place like LA or like New York, an extreme example. No one gives a shit where you're from. Actually, it's weird because when we were in New York, I mean, of course, like, you know, meeting somewhere where you're from, like that kind of bit, whatever, but no one really cares about that. Like, oh, you're from Ohio? Okay, cool. Right on. We're from California? Okay, right on. And then you just, boom, what are we talking? Let's talk about like what's going on in the city, what's going on in the world. Let's talk about this, like talk about whatever else, but it doesn't really, no one's like super thrilled that you're from like, oh, you're from LA too? Oh my God. Like we're in LA. Like no one cares. It doesn't matter. I feel like all the conversations we overheard, there was like all of that kind of like, hey, you grew up in that, you went to that licorice shop? Oh, that was my grandpa's licorice shop. It's like, yeah, you guys are all inbred. Of course it's the same fucking licorice shop you went to. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah,
sorry,
but
it was getting annoyed.
Yeah, no, well, I think there was a girl and her girlfriend like talking at the table next to us while we were having lunch. And the way she was talking, I was like, you know, some girls, they talk and it's like they have this mannerism and the way they sound. And then like every word they say is so important that, you know, and it's like,
life-altering conversations.
Like, just be natural. Were you talking like that when you were 5? No, you were not. So stop doing that. Yeah. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, do you think your friend is really interested in what you're saying right now? She's probably bored AF. So
no, but she is, because that's the extent of their universe is like, I don't know, whatever tidbits that.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the kids were kind of like, they were all kind of bullies. I didn't care for the kids there either. So anyway, we won't be moving to Malibu.
There's just a level of arrogance with everyone there. And it's kind of like, if you're part of that club, then it's cool. If you're not, then you're like an outsider. There's a very, very strong like sense of that. Like,
but I feel
100%.
Like you could be in and from a small place, be very proud of it and love it, and not be like that. Right?
Of course.
Like I don't.
But as a general rule, right? Anytime there's a small town, small community, what prevails is more of the mindset that we've just described, rather than the one you're describing. I mean, it's so. I
guess it's just become entitled or something. I don't know.
I mean, look, the fact that this is not an accepted, understood scientific fact is baffles me. People who travel more, people who go to universities and are exposed to different opinions, they tend to think a certain way. And you can't say objectively that those are bad things, to travel and be exposed to more things. They're more open-minded. The people who don't travel, who don't go out, who don't converse and have discourse with folks of different opinions, they're closed-minded and dumb. Like, it's not rocket science. That's a fact. Yeah. I mean, you you know, and then the idea that those people who are out there gathering information and hearing opinions and ideas that they are against have to contend and debate with those who have a fragment of the information is ludicrous to me. No, I don't want to have to converse with those people.
Well, welcome to America.
Yeah, but that's just a... Well, obviously what I'm talking about is red and blue states. It's like, I mean, just subjectively, if you have one human brain and another human brain, and brain A and B, and brain A has learned 100 things in its lifetime. Brain B has been exposed to it, has learned 1,000 things. Which one would you trust more to render an opinion about anything? Well, brain B. That's like the same thing as what I'm describing, right? There's exceptions, but again, the general rule is that. I don't know, but Malibu... The other thing that annoyed me, the reason why I'm feeling this way, is when we get there, charge the car, that was fine. we're walking down this like sidewalk. It's like a not a strip mall, but like a parking lot that has a bunch of like strips of buildings with shops, but not a classic strip mall that there's just one. There's like actually a handful of them. So we're walking along one of those with like a sidewalk space, right? So going down here on the left side is a bunch of parked cars. On the right side is the facade of these, 1-story or 2-story buildings, whatever. Sidewalk is maybe 5 feet, 6 feet wide. They're not very wide. And some of the shops, there's some like tables and some AstroTurf for eating between the cars and the sidewalk. Fine. We're getting toward the end, and there's a mixture of shops. There's actually a Chipotle, which is kind of weird, like a big brand thing. There was, some surf shop thing, some organic this and that, another organic this and that, whatever. We get toward the end, and there's this point where it gets narrower because between the cars and on that part of the sidewalk is like a tent, and someone was selling like shirts or something. They're doing like a collab with the shop that it was, in front of. Fine, not a problem. Cool, that's great. We're approaching. It's not super busy, so it's like pretty. There's 2 people and a baby. Like we're approaching, and there's a cluster of like 5 people, on the sidewalk and a dog, and they're like wealthy bohemian folks. Oh, organic linen. Linen. And we're walking. It's like, okay, you guys are going to have to move for the people that are walking on the sidewalk. They don't move. And this one fucking asshole, tall, dark-skinned guy, crop top, belly showing, fine, word you want. And he wouldn't move. It's like, what universe are you guys from? Like,
so
get the fuck out of the way. I was
pushing the stroller, and I'm always, kind of like looking ahead, like, see, like, do I need to move to the left? I don't want to be, an annoying mom with her stroller, like, taking over the whole sidewalk, right? Fine. And I'm approaching, and I see those people standing there. I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to move. I see those 2, like, tiny dinky dogs unleashed next to them. I'm thinking, okay, someone's gonna have to pick up their dog because I'm coming with the stroller. I don't really have anywhere to go. I can't leave the stroller above my head to walk by you.
No, it was tight.
So I'm like coming kind of slow, but coming in a way, I'm like, I'm not gonna stop. Something's gonna have to move. I happen to like bump the butt of the dog a little bit. One of the guys was like, so it's, you gotta move. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, like you think you own this sidewalk?
The thing that drove me
people.
nuts is that,
like,
for context, they're kind of in a semi-arc. They were facing us.
No, the sun is coming.
They weren't facing away, and he knew the dog was there. So him saying, "Oh, we gotta move the dog," that's acting. You knew you had to move the dog. Now you're pretending after the fact that you didn't know about this. But unless you were born yesterday, you knew you could see us, and you knew that we're walking toward you. That kind of shit drives me bananas. Absolutely insane. And again, how do I phrase this? Like, let's change like the some of the context. If there's a group of people and they were poor people and they were like fixing a bike on the sidewalk and working in the middle of the day, okay, then they don't want to get out. That's different. These folks, you have all the time in the world. You're putzing around, floundering around, talking about nothing of significance. Like, get out of the way, man.
What I don't like to, and I have nothing against the dog, but what I don't like about small dogs is that people think that they could just let them be, and they're not a problem to anyone. When you have a big dog, like, people are very much aware, like, they have to hold their dog, close to them, and, like, make sure they don't bark or they don't bite anyone or whatever. Like, people who have bigger dogs are much more, in general, I feel, careful.
Yeah.
But the small dogs, it's like putting a purse down. Like, it's not going to bother anyone. You can see it. You can step over it, right?
Actually, I think it's even more than that. People with small dogs assume everyone else is going to work around the dog.
I know.
Like, the dog is the center of the universe.
And I'm thinking, well, either someone's going to move the dog, or the dog's going to move, or I'm going to go and I'm going to move the dog. Like... It's like, no, come on.
There was a lot of small dogs.
Like, I'm not parking my stroller in the middle of the freaking sidewalk and hope that people are going to work around it. Like, no.
Again, we weren't walking through it. It was a right of way.
So anyway, weekends are pretty stressful in this life.
But the small dog thing is true. It's like, you're right though. People with big dogs they're pretty. They're very courteous when they're out in the public.
I mean,
I
always had bigger dogs. The last one was kind of smaller than the others, but we always had bigger dogs, and we're always aware, not to make a big deal and, like hold them and be careful and this and that. But I feel like people who have smaller, they just don't care. And they just have them. They have them, I told you, they have them like they have a purse. Yeah. Like it's like a hat they're wearing or a purse they're carrying. It's like this little thing that they have to show off, and they hope to get attention. And people are gonna take pictures. Oh my god, your dog is so cute because it's so small. You can fit in your pocket, in your sweatshirt or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, get a life. Like, what is this? Like,
I think it's a size
first
thing.
of all, I don't find them cute. Find them super annoying. They're the ones who are always barking. They're the ones who always actually bite people. They're the like snippier ones.
Well, I think it's true in general. The small dog versus big dog thing. I think from what I've seen, it's true. Of course, it's really more about the owners and the dogs themselves. Like, I've definitely had friends and people I know who had small dogs, and the dog was fine and had no problem. All things we're describing was not about that dog in that way. They didn't, and it's because of the owners. They didn't. Yeah. They didn't treat the dog that way. They didn't expect other people to treat a dog a certain way. They were just like normal.
I mean, look, you go grocery shopping, you have a big dog, you leave your dog outside, you don't bring him in. You have a tiny dog, you put it in your purse and be like, it's fine, it's in my purse. No, it's still a dog. Like, if dog A can make it in, why does dog B get in? Because it's small?
Yeah.
Well, that's discriminative, isn't it?
There's this is a terrible reference because Bill Cosby was a total fucking asshole. But there was a Bill Cosby bit, from decades ago, where he was ranting about small dogs, I think like Chihuahuas. And he's like, the ones with big eyes, like they have a glandular problem. He's like, the ones that are always barking. The guy saw a fly knock one over once. Because I was so happy I cheered for the fly. I had a neighbor growing up. His parents, his dad was this big guy, super, super nice guy. Also could draw really well. Anyway, they had two dogs, and that was really different because, being the allergy kid I was, we never had dogs or animals. So they had two dogs. They had one, I remember their names, Elway and Pepper. One of the dogs was big. Elway was big, but really nice, and chill for the most part. Pepper, smaller dog, and but I always kind of appreciated how they dealt with their dogs. They were nice and they played with them, but they weren't like, it wasn't a show dog in any way. They didn't expect anything from others or whatever about the dog. Pepper, we were over there one day, and Pepper was being a rascal. It wasn't biting people. He was just being kind of a rascal. And the dad goes, "Pepper, you keep doing that, I'm going to punch you down the cul-de-sac." Of course, he would never do that. But he's like, because this guy, he was huge. He was like 260 pounds. He's like, "Pepper, you weigh 25 pounds. What do you not understand? I will punch you across the street if you don't stop behaving this way." And again, he would never, ever do that. But I thought it was pretty funny because, there was no pretending. It's like, look, you're a small dog. Elway's a big dog. Stop fucking with Elway. He will eat you. You know what I mean? No, you don't deserve things because you're small. Like, behave accordingly. Yeah, but the kind of like prima donna showing off my Gucci purse, that's, a lot of small dogs
every time,
are kind of that way.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who has a small dog that doesn't do that.
It's like, that's, you have a Gucci purse. I don't care. Like, what do I care about your purse? Like, oh, nice car. Good for you. Whatever. That doesn't entitle you to anything.
No.
By the way, the place that we had lunch, it was like $18 for a sandwich. It wasn't bad.
And also same for picking up poo, sorry. If you have a small dog and he's pooping, it's okay to leave the poo because it's small. Well, no. It's not okay. It's not okay. No, but that's the thing. It's like,
really?
It's not because you get a small dog that you can have it easier than people who have a bigger one. No, same rules.
I mean, if the poo was like,
No, but still, it's
a rabbit
principle.
turd. Yeah, no, of course. The place we had lunch, it was very busy, filled with people, kind of a popular spot. Environmentally, nice, outdoor, playground, like tree, and it was a nice spot. Sandwiches were like 18 something a piece, I think, so maybe $17, whatever. So it's like $42 for 2 sandwiches, a small bag of chips, and a soda. Wasn't bad, but
no, it wasn't worth the price.
Let's say, with tax or whatever, $19 a sandwich. If I'm doing a scale of 0 to 10 for a $19 sandwich, this one would rate probably like a 2 or 3. It was like,
I would have rather got a Shake Shack and pay less.
Yeah.
It was nothing particular.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you look up, like lunch spot in that area, and there is like, oh, this place more like sit down, whatever. This place, oh, it's more like, breakfast, whatever. Then you're like sandwich by playground. Sounds great. Convenient, easy, like cool. Rates really high. Everybody loves the spot. And then you go there and you're like, okay, well, whoever rated that spot doesn't go to sandwich spot very much because...
Well, and also, so... Just for context, it wasn't like there was a playground and one sandwich shop. If it's like one shop, then of course it's going to be like mediocre. Like there was a bunch of eating establishments. This was kind of like an area, like I was describing before. So my thinking is that's the other problem. It's not a problem, but the other thing that just a little bit irks me is that I feel like places where there's a lot of pride. The people living there have a lot of pride about the place. That's fine. But where the line gets crossed is they tend to like rate their shit too high. And if we're talking about a small town that is, again, maybe not as wealthy, therefore, a lot of people living there probably have not traveled to Japan and Italy and France and like all these places to have great food. So if they rate a place higher, then okay, yeah, it's your local spot. You like it, fine. If you're in Malibu, these people got money. They've traveled everywhere. This sandwich shop does not deserve 5 stars if you traveled. You know that. So, like, why are you giving it 5 stars? You're doing it because...
To support a local shop or whatever, fine, but
you shouldn't be serving salad that came from TJ's and is wilted. Like, But I had a great time, though.
Oh, got to hear.
No, I really enjoyed it. It was a really, really good day.
It was nice being outside. I mean, they had some. But again, it was a nice space, but I would erase the people from the small dogs. I mean, there was a playground with sand and bunch of kids playing. There was this guy who I guess saw someone he knew, the mom at the playground, come up with his big dog on the sand, and I'm like, okay, well. Maybe not all the kids around here are comfortable having a big dog they don't know. Or so it's on the sand. Like, what if your dog start peeing there? Like, I'm like, come on. That there is this couple who showed up with their, baby or whatever, and they had 2 giant dogs. And I'm like, I guess you live down the street or whatever, and it's Saturday and you want to hang out outside and see your kid play, but you have 2 giant dogs. Like, do you really think you need them here at the playground? Like, I have no problem with dogs. I'm not allergic. I grew up with them. I'm not scared of them. But I'm like, if there is a kid and like a toddler and a dog, a big one, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I don't know them, even if I knew them. So it's like dog owners who love their animals, that's all fine. And despite me being allergic to dogs, I actually like dogs. I wish I was not allergic. I like the companionship of a dog. But the thing that some of these dog owners don't understand, or they understand it but they just refuse to like kind of accept it, is for people who are not like dog people, who have a fear of dogs or have a small kid, like it's legitimately scary for them because you do have an animal, and every dog owner says, oh, my dog's so well behaved. Okay, if 100 people have dogs and 100 people say they're well behaved, just like statistically, is it true that 100 of those dogs are well behaved like all the time in whatever scenarios? No,
of course not. So like, I'm not going to really believe you. And you do have an animal where if something happens, a car backfires, or the kid does something dumb, or eyes an adult do something dumb, or if they smell big, I don't know, whatever the fuck happens, it's going to bite. And that's not the dogs that they're engineered.
Yeah,
that's what they do. You know what I mean? And they also do the opposite of saving people, folks. Yeah, but again, if you are an individual that's not familiar with dogs, or you have a young kid who's not familiar with dogs, it's a scary proposition, and it's just a risk, and it's not worth the risk, right? Because what's the gain? The gain is nothing happens. Okay, well, it would be the same thing if the dog wasn't there, this stranger dog. And what's the downside? The dog bites the kid. that's a pretty big downside. Not worth it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so like, when we grew, again, I wouldn't have dogs, but my sister has a fear of dogs, and I did for a long time as well, but not as much as her. But hers stems from the fact that when she was really little, we were at a extended family's house. She must have been like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5. And we're playing in the backyard, and there was a big dog, older dog, really nice, must have weighed 40 pounds, 50 pounds, something.
Well, just use your kid as a reference point.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say like my sister notably weighed less than the dog. I'll put it that way. So my 40 and 50 might be completely off. Again, chill dog. Got excited for just some reason. And it ran, and it knocked over my sister. She was fine. She didn't get hurt, but it scared the fuck out of her, right? Because you have this thing.
She gets scared of getting run over by it.
Yeah, you have this thing that weighs, if you're an adult, you weigh 130 pounds. This thing weighs 200 pounds. And it comes charging and knocks you over. It has teeth and everything. And again, for her, we didn't grow up with dogs. You're not familiar with it. Like, that freaked her out and kind of left a mark, obviously, for quite some time. And it's like, yeah, understandably so.
I was going to say, like, the dog, like, bit her,
No. But it knocked her over. Yeah.
Oh, well,
But it was the thing where, like, everyone's chill. It's like Northern California, a sunny day, and all of a sudden the dog's barking and charges and knocks her over.
The dog could hear something, and then...
Yeah. But, you're looking up at this thing is running at you and just plows over you. It's like, you just don't... It's the fear of, like, not knowing what's going to happen. Again, my point is that for folks who have that, experience or are not familiar with these animals, like, that's just kind of...
I mean, again, like we grew up with dogs, and they were perfectly nice and perfectly fine, but... my parents always said that dogs can smell fear.
Yeah.
So if they sense that you are scared of them, they could react in a way. Or it could be anything. It could be something you do. It could be a way you move. It could be a sound that they hear. It could be a look. It could be that they just don't like you. It could be that they get excited. Sometimes they snap of happiness and excitement. Like when they are young, they don't really know how to control their emotions. So there's a lot of things that could happen. But my problem is if you have a toddler or a kid that's eye level with a dog, if there is something to be happen, it's not the toddler that's going to bite the dog.
Yeah.
Like, so there is a, kind of an unfair...
I mean, they also, sometimes they have like, not claws. They have, I guess, claws. I don't know, whatever it is.
They're paws with nails.
Okay, fine. The sharp nails.
They're not very sharp. They're very big and they're not very sharp.
So I don't know. Some of them are kind of sharp.
Cats, you would have to be scared of.
Fuck cats.
Cats' nails.
Yeah,
those
I'm not about
could
that.
Scratch you, but dogs not.
The other thing with dogs, too, is like, we go to for people's houses. And they have a dog. And, if I'm going to someone's house, I'm not wearing, like, shitty gym clothes, probably. I'm wearing, like, nicer clothes. The dog comes up and scratches. I'm like, hey, man, this is my suit. This is my suit, my white sneakers. The thing for me is, like, why is your dog allowed to behave in a way that a human's not allowed to behave? And he's, he's wrecking my clothing. Like, I don't have to buy a new suit. Could you, like, not have your dog climb all over my... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a fair thing.
Yeah.
I don't have an unlimited amount of suits in my closet.
And it's very... speaking of experience, it's very hard to control a dog when they're excited to meet someone. So the best is just to not have them around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's beef.
That's our version of beef.
So we'll have to, but we're not quite done with the season yet. So I guess we can talk about it once we've watched it all.
Yeah. So spoilers. So don't listen to this bit if you haven't watched it yet. Related to our stories about dogs, that was pretty amazing that she in the show picked up a coyote and slammed it to the ground and killed it. I was like, oh my god.
Well, I
also
thought,
kind of unrealistic.
I thought, the coyote would be quicker than her and definitely would have bit her before she could have reached.
I think that would have been very difficult to do in the way they showed on the TV show.
Yeah, but
because she's not a very big person.
No.
My neighbor, big dude, weighs 260 pounds. Yeah, maybe he would probably come up with some scratches, but her.
I know.
What's her name? I've heard the actress weighs 120 pounds. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so. So look. These things I highlight, like when we went to Malibu, that's like the equivalent of me being fussy over the dividers in the little craft
toolbox.
Toolbox, okay, that's not like how I actually express myself, outwardly. It's just these things that I'm aware of. I would say not much gets past me.
Well, if you had to use pliers to break those little tabs that were left over, that kind of.
And I
makes
tried
sense.
sanding them down, but the problem with that is that I didn't have the right tools.
I bet my dad could have figured it out without.
I needed an electric grinder or like an electric sander.
An electric nail buffer,
Well, see, I know about electric erasers. I don't know about electric nail buffers.
Here you are.
Okay.
Do you still have that toolbox? Maybe we can fix it.
Yeah.
20 years later.
No. I get it. I closed it off. I'm blind to it now.
Okay, never mind.
Otherwise, my life, I can't function.
Well, if you ever buy another one and you have the same issue, now you know what to use.
Yeah. Next time on an After Hours, remind me, because we're always looking for things to talk about, I would like to know the ideal refrigerator setup. Side by side, top down, down top.
About that. I have some opinions on that.
Yeah.
I have opinions on everything.
Yeah.
Or the drawer.
Or the drawer.
Or the fridge drawer.
Yeah.
And then we could also, do a parallel with dishwashers.
Yeah. Absolutely. Loading dishwashers.
Yeah. All right, that sounds exciting. Okay, well, that being said, I didn't finish my 12 grapes that are in the bowl behind me, so I am hungry.
You should freeze grapes.
I don't like that.
Oh,
I'm not
get
big.
out of here.
I don't really like frozen stuff except ice cubes and ice cream.
What about you freeze the grapes and you blend them?
No, I'm not interested in that.
Oh, dude, I'm going to do that this afternoon.
I like the grape the way it is.
Yeah, gross. It's almost never the right texture.
I don't know what texture you have in mind, but
it's got to be,
perfect.
you got to have a good snap.
Also, American grapes are gigantic.
Yeah.
By the way, I discovered there is wild raspberry strawberries where we are. So, let me tell you about that later offline. Mm-hmm. Those taste like candy. They're incredible.
And you're talking about like strawberries on the side of like the 405. I would not eat those.
No, it's not next to the 405. Thank you very much. Anyway, all right.
Okay, that's it. Outro, blah, blah, blah. Reviews, something, podcast, Second Studio Pod, Instagram, website.
213-222-6950.
Hotline. Text it, call it, something. Bye.